my little kitten boy. He's gonna get neutered soon, poor boy. Okay, but anyway, yes. So welcome to Finding Your Fable. My name is Daniel, and as you join me, just let me know where you're joining from, and let me know the best word that describes your mood. Okay, the best word that describes your mood today, this evening, or this morning, depending on what time you're joining me. It's 5 p.m. here in Malaysia. I'm in Malaysia, and we'll start in a few moments' time as more of you join me. So, yes, right. So let me just tell you who I am. My name is Daniel. I am a yoga teacher and a personal trainer, and I live and work in Malaysia, and it's quite sunny now, even though it's supposed to be monsoon season, which means rainy. Okay, and I'm welcoming you to Finding Your Fable, which is my new live sessions both on Facebook and Instagram, where we learn how to manage discord and we learn how to usher in calm, and where our days go smoothly and peacefully instead of speeding along in an anxious fog. Okay, so that's my job here. Hello, hi, yeah. So discord is our enemy, isn't it? I mean, we want to have our days peaceful. We want things to go smoothly, and we also would like to meet discord and calamity with calm and equanimity, right? We don't want to like get so frazzled when a crisis takes place. If discord comes into our lives, what if it happens? It happens. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. So that's what I and actually many yoga teachers are trying to do, trying to help everyone, including ourselves, be totally okay with calm, with discord, and know how to invite calm even when there's discord or crisis or calamity in our lives. Yeah, so this is what I am here to tell you about, and also all my previous lives were about that. All my previous lives were about trying to invite calm into your life, how to manage discord, but this time specifically in the Finding Your Fables live sessions, we're going to talk about stories. Yeah, okay. So basically, when it comes to managing discord, when it comes to inviting calm into our lives, especially if we are not used to it, we would like to practice it, like practice the tools that invite calm, practice the tools that help us to manage discord. So that's what we'd like to do. And we can gain calm through stories. Okay, so why have I chosen stories? Because it just kind of hit me the other day that, you know, stories are all around us, and we are exposed to stories from the time of our birth. Okay, and we are our own stories. We live our own stories. We create our own stories. Okay, and our stories and the stories of the people around us is what in yoga we call mithya. And mithya is, in English, an easy translation, is myth. And that means subjective reality. So we contrast that with sat, which is objective reality. So our story, our myth, is subjective reality because we always see things from our own point of view. We don't see things from someone else's point of view because we are not really living in their shoes, are we? So it is subjective reality. We are seeing it through the lens of our own perspective, our own background. So it is our story. It's a story same like as you watch in the movies, told from the point of view of the hero or heroine. And we are the stories. We are the heroes of our own stories, right? Hey Leonard, long time no see. So, so why is this important? Okay, so stories are important because it helps us see that everyone around us, not just ourselves, but everyone around us are living their own story. everyone around us are heroes and protagonists of their own stories. So we are heroes in our own story, but you know, that boss who is bugging you every day for things that you find very unreasonable, he or she is the hero in their story, and you could be the enemy. Okay, so there's always two sides of one coin, right? So stories kind of help us see that everyone around us live in their own stories, and it helps us see that we are living in our own stories. So if we are living in our own stories, that basically means that we actually have a lot of control over how our story unfolds. Okay, so how does all this help give us calm? Okay, firstly, it helps us give us calm because it gives us empathy and compassion for ourselves. So we tend to have empathy and compassion for the heroes of the stories that we watch in movies, heroes or heroines, and so we tend to also empathize with ourselves a lot, and we may be compassionate to ourselves and not be so hard on ourselves if we can't perform, okay, as we would like to perform. So that helps us, you know, invite calm into our lives. And secondly, it also gives us empathy and compassion for people around us, because in a sense we tend to slowly see, as we begin to reflect on stories, we slowly begin to see that everyone around us is, as I mentioned, their own the hero or heroine in their own story, and that kind of gives us a different perspective on their actions, or their, you know, what they say, what they do, things like that. And from all this, we tend to get a little bit of clarity. And also from clarity, we derive even more calm. So for me, stories have helped me a lot, okay? And I'm hoping stories will help you a lot, because, you know, that's what yoga teachers tend to do, okay? We tend to teach you things that help themselves. We tend to teach you things that help us, because we were once on that journey as well. So we do have that empathy and that compassion for people around us, and usually we try to start teaching because of that. Hey, Shankari. So yeah, so those of you who just joined, please watch the replay, because I discussed a lot of stuff. We've gone through a lot in 7 minutes about why stories can help us manage discord, give us clarity, and usher in calm. I haven't taught you how. We'll be going on how when we move through the stories in the months to come. So, yes. So, as we reflect on the stories, so I will teach you mainly stories from yoga. Yeah, hi Shankari. So I'll be teaching you mainly stories from yoga, although I'll be teaching you stories from other cultures as well as contemporary stories. Every month we'll be looking at a different story, and the stories of yoga, of course, will be embodied in the practices that I'll be teaching online, as well as in my personal classes. That if you come to me in my classes, you'll experience that as well. More of that later. So the story that we looked at this month is the story of Navaratri, okay, the story of the 9 goddesses, who is actually just one goddess, and who is actually just a metaphor for, not just a metaphor, but a metaphor for energy, for power, and for nature, okay? And the story of Navaratri is actually basically the story of skillful manifestation, of how energy and subjective consciousness merge together to manifest create a skillful manifestation of everything that we see around us, including ourselves. So if you think about it, stories are just like that, right? You have to, in order to create a story, you have an idea. To have an idea, energy needs to go into it, right? And then when you craft the story, you need to have that energy into the story. You need to have a certain kind of skillful consciousness towards that story before the story itself can manifest. So everything around us, including ourselves, is the combination of energy and skillful manifestation. So as we talked about earlier, the goddess Shakti is the metaphor for energy, and Shiva is the metaphor for subjective consciousness. Okay, and earlier, if you watch the replay, you would know that our own story is mithya, which is subjective reality. So we are all living in our own subjective reality, and we're all the heroes or heroines of our own subjective reality, which means to some extent, if we know how, we can take control of our own story, and it's just a matter of taking, learning the tools and having commitment and putting in the practice, because the hard work comes down to us. Okay, so we need to do the hard work on being able to manage discord and invite calm into our lives. So we're going to do that through stories. So I did do a short abbreviated IGTV FB video on the Navaratri story, and you can just check that out there, and I think I have it on YouTube as well. I don't really use YouTube that much, but you can check it out. It's on all channels. And okay, so moving on, we also celebrated Navaratri by looking at the symbolism of the goddesses in general. So the three major goddesses in the yoga tradition, okay? And we looked at the fact that in yoga, everything is a metaphor, or everything is a capacity. You can look at the stories as just stories. You can look at the stories in a religious sense, and you can look at it in a philosophical sense, which is what most yoga practitioners would do if we are looking at it from a point of wisdom. Yeah. So we can dismantle any story from any culture in the same way. As you will see in December, we'll be looking at the nativity scene, and as well as the winter solstice festival from the Chinese tradition, and we're going to look at the symbolism of that in December. Okay, so you can look forward to that. But back to this month, when we're looking at the goddesses, we looked at the three main forms of the goddess represented in our journey, in our lives, okay, in our own story. So we should recognize this story because we actually are embodiment of the three representations. So we looked, and again, if you looked at my social media or my website, my whole blog post on the goddesses, you'll see that we discussed that how Kali represents time, because Kali, Kala means time, okay? So Kali represents time, and we are a process, we are time process, we are a process of time, right? Because we are living in time, our body is flesh, our flesh every second, not just thousands, billions of cells die, and in every second, billions of cells live. And that is Kali, that is time, we are in time, and we looked at that, okay? So when we talked about grounding, which I discussed much earlier in the year, grounding, we're talking about focusing at one moment in time, which is now. That is Kali, Kali is now, okay? Then we looked at Saraswati, who represents the capacity of knowledge. And knowledge comes to us in the process of time, okay? You can't like overnight wake up and know everything, okay? That doesn't work, okay? But knowledge doesn't only come with learning, knowledge also comes with unlearning. So sometimes along the way we pick up unskillful thought patterns or unskillful things that don't serve us, okay? Things that maybe we learned as we were growing up, we are not good enough, or we deserve something which, you know, we don't really deserve it. These kind of things we have to unlearn. So in order for new knowledge to come in, we need to unlearn. So it's a process of learning and unlearning. That's Saraswati, and she comes in through the passage of time, okay? And with the merging of time and knowledge, what happens is eventually you will get abundance. And abundance is the capacity of Lakshmi, the third goddess that we looked at, the third and final goddess. And Lakshmi, when it comes to abundance, it doesn't necessarily mean financial abundance. It can be what abundance means to you. It could be well-being. It could be wisdom, okay, because wisdom is also a form of abundance. It could be anything. And even if you're looking at it from a financial point of view, that abundance means plenty of money, whatever it is, you still have knowledge and time drawn together to create that type of abundance. Okay, so we learned that although we can look at them, okay, as representations of a deity, we also learned that they are actually metaphors for these capacities, and that we also are in that journey, yeah, because we came out of time, we moved through time and gained knowledge, and along the way, whatever it is, there of course will be periods of maybe scarcity or less abundance, but whatever it is, as we move through time, nothing remains, you know, things pass, yeah. So you see, like now in Malaysia, we're out of lockdown, but maybe when we were in lockdown, it seems like forever. Okay. Oh my God, why am I talking about that? Okay, anyway, so that's what we were talking about throughout the whole month of October. And also just to remind you, in October we looked at pranayama. So we looked at 4 forms of pranayama, which are good forms to begin with. You can take a look at the blog post, or you can take a look at the social media posts as well. So I split up the blog post into 4 different social media posts. And also throughout October, we looked at, we celebrated Healthy Lung Day. So I wanted to look at pranayama in the, I was very interested to learn about pranayama when it comes to health, yeah. Look, did you want to ask a question? Okay, if you want to ask a question, just type it in the comments and I'll get back to you. So along the way of looking at pranayama in terms of our lungs, I actually learned that pranayama is good for us generally and entirely, so physically, not just talking about mentally. So I decided, let's look at pranayama and how it benefits our whole body. So you get that as well through the whole blog posts and the social media posts. So I'm recapping what we discussed, okay? So next month, we'll be exploring the Navaratri story a little bit more deeper and a little bit more at length. So we're moving from the time that Shiva met Sati, okay, those of you who know this story, Shiva met Sati all the way to the point that Shiva merged with Parvati, okay? So there'll be that period of withdrawal as well. We'll be exploring that next month because I want to look at Shiva next month because Shiva is the ultimate yogi. And in November, it's kind of men's month because it's, you know, Movember. And we're celebrating men in November. So let's just look at Shiva, the story of Shiva. And we'll also look at Ignatian Meditation, which I think is really great because Ignatian Meditation is a type of meditation that allows you to reflect on stories, okay? So it's all about stories. And the Ignatian form of meditation actually allows you, so you're not really trying to still the mind, you're actually putting yourself in the story if you want to, okay? See how your mind, where your mind fits you in the story, so look forward to that. And okay, so that's basically it. So if anyone wants to know more, or if anyone wants to ask me questions, please do directly comment, or comment there, or direct message me, private message me. And then if you also would like to learn how to invite clarity and calm in your day, not using stories, so not just using stories, you can just take a look at my free Mindful Morning virtual mini course that you can sign up for. The link is in bio on Instagram, and the link is on pin post and Facebook, and it's of course on the website, so you can go website, take a look at it. So thank you so much for joining me. It's a short session today, so this is just an introductory session on what we'll be discussing from now on. So Finding Your Fable, my live sessions will be on the last Saturday of every month. It is, yes, so unless otherwise stated. So last Saturday of every month. I look forward to meeting you, and thank you so much for coming. I enjoyed myself. Sorry I wasn't very clear, I've had a very busy day, but thanks